Welcome to Unit 1 in our Modern Latin American History class. This first unit will help us set the tone for the rest of the semester in terms of thinking about how we study history, thinking about how we define the region of Latin America, and then just getting some of the kind of initial, I don't want to call it busy work, but checking the boxes to make sure that we understand the syllabus, we've introduced ourselves to each other, and we've started to build a community. That's certainly not busy work. That's the important work of the class so that we can have a strong learning community as we work together over the rest of the semester. As are all of the units in this course, this first one is divided across 2 weeks, so it covers 2 weeks of time. There are separate due dates for different assignments, so please pay attention to that here in the introduction section of the learning module. By the first Sunday, the 20th, you need to complete a lot of that introductory work. So you need to make sure that you understand the syllabus. You need to create your avatar for Blackboard if you don't already have one. You should register for Twitter if you're not already on there, and look over all of the assignment instructions for the semester. Keeping in mind that I've left everything open, you have the opportunity to look at everything we'll be doing over the next 15 weeks. So keep that in mind. You have 15 weeks to do everything that we're going to be doing. Don't get overwhelmed by that. The things that are due on that first Sunday then are just making sure that you've read those things and then submitting your introduction to the rest of us on Blackboard in the discussion board, and then also submitting your email assignment. And that's essentially the syllabus quiz. So you answer those questions in a Word document that are there in the learning module about the class, about the syllabus, the expectations, and the assignments, and you send that to me via email. By the second Sunday, so during the second week of the unit, and you can of course start on these things earlier if you get the chance, you'll need to complete the What is History assignment, and you will need to compare and contrast two authors' views on defining Latin America as a region and as a subject of study. So the first one, I've provided materials for you here in the learning module that will help you to think about the different skills and habits and processes that go into studying history. All of that together is called historical thinking, as you'll find. There are a couple of things to read regarding historical thinking and how to apply it. Then you will, on Twitter, post your answers to the questions that are posed there. So it's like, how would you define history? What are the steps of historical thinking? Those kinds of things. So you'll post 10 tweets for this first unit. That's different than the rest of the class. From Unit 2 forward, you'll need to post at least 15 tweets, meaning you'll have the 10 where you comment on the readings, and then you will have 5 where you reply to each other and to me. So you don't have to necessarily do the replies this first time around, although you can if you want, for Module 1. Then the next step, after we've thought about history and discussed that a little bit, is to compare and contrast the definitions of Latin America that are provided by our author, John Charles Chasteen, of Born in Blood and Fire, and another author, Michel Gobat, who is a historian of Latin America as well. I've provided a link to an article that he wrote in the American Historical Review a few years ago. They have different approaches to defining Latin America, and it's not that one's right and the other's wrong. They both have value, and they both contribute something to helping us think about the region as a place and a process with unique cultures, so that we can better understand its history. But what I want you to do is think about how and why they approach the region differently, what that has to do with the kinds of questions that they're asking about Latin America. Of course, Chasteen's chapter is the introduction to his book. That's the main text for our class. Gobat's article focuses on specific historical questions. So again, keep those things in mind. You will write a couple of paragraphs that you'll post to the discussion board on Blackboard that will answer the questions that I've posed here in the learning module in that section about comparing and contrasting those two readings. That will be it for Unit 1. Please do take a look at the timeline assignment. by the end of this 2 weeks, because we'll be jumping into that with Unit 2. The timeline will be kind of the center of our course. That's where we'll be doing most of the, that and Twitter, that's where we'll be doing the kind of bulk of the work, where you will be exploring topics in Latin American history, and then the connections and journals that you'll be doing will kind of sum up what you've learned in those units. So what I'm saying is that it's an important part of the class, and if you have questions about it or are not sure how to use it, please don't hesitate to ask. Also, do take advantage of the video tutorials that I've placed in the timeline tab here in Blackboard as well. All right, I think that does it. I hope that you enjoy Unit 1, and I look forward to getting started on our course.